Evelyn Carter, a resilient 70-year-old widow living on her sprawling Texas ranch, had dedicated her life to her family after her husband Tom's passing, pouring her heart and savings into supporting her son Jake and his ambitious fiancée Brittany, funding their monthly $500 rent for their cozy ranch house, buying every stick of furniture from the leather sofa to the oak dining table, totaling $2,000, stocking their fridge with fresh groceries at $200 a month when times were lean, paying off Jake's shiny new pickup truck loan of $5,000, and even slipping them extra cash for emergencies and whims, amounting to over $25,000 drained from her retirement fund over 3 long years of quiet sacrifice, all while she scrimped on her own meals of beans and cornbread to ensure they had a stable life under the vast Texas sky. One crisp morning, as she sipped her black coffee on the weathered porch overlooking the grazing cattle, Evelyn picked up her old landline to call Jake about his upcoming wedding date, only to have Brittany answer with a chilling, saccharine smile in her voice, announcing casually that they had already eloped the day before in the glittering lights of Las Vegas, inviting only special people to the intimate ceremony. Words that struck Evelyn like a bolt of lightning from a clear blue sky, leaving her standing frozen in her living room clutching the receiver as if it were a lead weight, watching through her mind's eye as Jake avoided her gaze and Brittany lounged comfortably on the very furniture Evelyn had purchased. The pale blue dress she had splurged $200 on hung untouched in her closet, along with new boots and the shattered dream of standing proudly in her only son's wedding photos, images she would never grace, having spent weeks meticulously planning details, setting aside $1,000 as a generous gift, calling her sister in Austin with excited news, and scrubbing her ranch house top to bottom in anticipation of a post-ceremony celebration that would never come, all crumbling in an instant under those venomous words, "only special people." Jake finally mumbled a rehearsed excuse about it being a small affair with just them and witnesses, but Evelyn's heart sank further when she scrolled through social media later that evening, seeing vibrant photos of Brittany's oil-rich parents beaming beside the bride and groom, siblings clinking champagne flutes and toast, Brittany radiant in an $800 white gown that Evelyn herself had unknowingly financed with last month's personal expenses handout. Everything laid bare that she wasn't meant to witness, a betrayal that cut deeper than any knife. Exactly 7 days after that gut-wrenching humiliation, Brittany called again, her tone shifted from triumphant to desperate and pleading, explaining that the rent was overdue, the landlord was threatening eviction, and surely Evelyn had forgotten the usual transfer, her voice trembling as if the world were collapsing. But Evelyn paused in silence, recalling every rushed bank run, every canceled personal plan, every meager meal she endured to keep a roof over their heads. And with a surprising calm born of awakening resolve, she replied, "Brittany, didn't I tell you I only help special people?" The ensuing silence on the line echoed like thunder, and for the first time, it was Brittany who trembled, stammering excuses about how they were always special to her, how Evelyn was like a second mom. But Evelyn saw through the lies, the honeyed voice reserved solely for monetary pleas, the same one used to request funds for the wedding dress, honeymoon dreams, and rings she helped finance without ever glimpsing the exchange. For years, Evelyn had tiptoed on eggshells, measuring every word, gesture, and gift in hopes of earning crumbs of affection from her own flesh and blood, playing the role of perfect mother and obliging mother-in-law, the silent benefactor who never complained even as they rendered her invisible. But that phrase, "only special people," ignited a dormant fire within her, prompting her to tally the exact toll: $18,000 in rent, $7,200 in food, $3,000 in gifts, $800 for medical bills, $2,500 for an unpaid car loan, $600 for appliance repairs, $1,200 for furniture, a staggering $33,300 siphoned from Tom's inheritance and her pension, funds meant for her peaceful golden years,
all squandered on two capable adults who couldn't muster respect enough to include her in their joy. That night, after hanging up, Evelyn sat on her bed and wept, not from sorrow, but from pent-up anger and frustration. Tears for the times her love felt burdensome, her presence an inconvenience, her money the sole value she offered, grieving the foolish woman she had been, lost in trying to become indispensable to those who deemed her disposable.
Waking the next morning transformed, she gazed into the mirror at her tired eyes and deepening wrinkles, but spotted a new hardness, a buried determination rising from years of compliance. Brewing coffee without the habitual urge to check on Jake, instead focusing on herself for the first time in decades. At her kitchen table, once a hub for planning their surprises and tallying their bills, she now pored over statements, confirming her folly in cold numbers, ignoring the ringing phone as Jake and Brittany called repeatedly, deleting texts like "Mom, we need to talk," without reply, then venturing out for a purposeless walk through the nearby fields where she once played with young Jake, reminiscing about the boy who called her the best mom ever, pondering when he morphed into a man who viewed her as an ATM with emotions, when she began equating love with dollars, when she started buying affection. Stopping at the bank, she greeted Mr. Klein, her longtime manager who had processed every transfer and firmly canceled all automatic payments, blocking their access, feeling his genuine concern surpass any Jake had shown lately. Replying to his query with, "I've finally opened my eyes," and turning off her phone as it buzzed incessantly, sensing their radar detect the drying well. Leaving the bank lighter, unburdened by obligations to those who saw her as a resource, Evelyn pondered forsaken dreams, trips untaken, friends unseen, hobbies abandoned to prioritize their needs. But upon returning home, she found 3 vehicles parked outside: Jake's truck, Brittany's SUV, and an unfamiliar sedan. Shadows moving inside her house through the windows, her blood chilling as she recalled giving them keys. Taking a deep breath, she entered to a scene etched in memory. Jake slumped on her sofa, head in hands, Brittany pacing like a trapped coyote, and a gray-suited man in his 50s rifling through her papers on the dining table. Demanding answers, Evelyn faced their accusatory stares as if she were the intruder, with Brittany pleading desperately about the canceled transfers, introducing Mr. Dawson as their family lawyer, concerned for her situation, Jake chiming in with patronizing worry about her strange behavior, Brittany faking tenderness about stress and age-related confusion. Realizing their ploy to declare her incompetent for financial control, Evelyn's laugh was bitter, calling out their hypocrisy. Deciding her money was hers deemed erratic, no longer funding ingrates labeled concerning. Brittany snapping that everything would be theirs someday anyway, revealing their view of her as a pre-inheritance obstacle. Ordering them out, Evelyn stood firm against Jake's protests about obligations like rent and co-signed cards, retorting that she'd financed a life excluding her for years, tossing Mr. Dawson's power of attorney folder into the trash, unmoved by Brittany's frustrated tears and pleas about plans reliant on her support. As they left with wounded pride, Jake warned of ending badly alone, but Evelyn replied sadly, yet clearly, that she was already alone by their neglect, now by choice, closing the door to liberating silence. Sleepless that night from adrenaline, she planned defenses like a strategist. Contacting attorney Miss Harper at dawn, a specialist in elder rights met through Tom's will, who labeled it financial abuse, a crime, noting the unauthorized entry and document review as violations, spending hours documenting transfers, gifts, pressures, and altering her will to shield assets. Harper whistled at the $33,300 total, lamenting missed comforts, travels, joys sacrificed for ungrateful adults who snubbed her wedding invite. Next, Evelyn changed locks at the hardware store, Mr. Summers noting the shift from fixing their place to securing hers,
installing cameras with his son Ethan's help for peace of mind. Ignoring persistent calls from unknown numbers, she phoned her sister in Austin, confessing her awakening, sharing the secret wedding humiliation and funding cutoff. Diana relieved and revealing overheard conversations where Jake spoke of Evelyn transactionally, Lena plotting post-death remodels, confirming their inheritance impatience. Neighbor Clara appeared with coffee, offering company after overhearing shouts, sharing her parallel story of cutting off a manipulative daughter, leading to genuine reconciliation after months, giving Evelyn hope while stressing self-responsibility now. Sleeping soundly without their worries, Evelyn awoke to Ethan installing security, logging drive-bys via cameras, calling Diana for more venting, then visiting Tom's grave to confess losing herself post-loss, channeling energy into Jake blindly, cleaning the site and finding peace in unhurried reflection. Returning to Three Cars again, she called Miss Harper, who arrived with police, enforcing a temporary restraining order, watching Jake gesticulate angrily and Brittany scream threats, Miss Harper warning future contact through her office. That evening, Clara hosted dinner, introducing her daughter for a glimpse of healthy bonds, respectful talks, sincere interest, no money begs, confessing her Clara encouraging respect first. Days of peace followed, logging drive-bys for a permanent order, until a social worker, Ms. Rivera, arrived for a wellness check on reported changes, paranoia, isolation. With Ms. Harper present, Evelyn demonstrated competence, countering with abuse evidence, Ms. Rivera closing the case after reviewing $33,300 docs and independence proofs. Escalation loomed, Ms. Harper warning of incompetent suit costs, but Evelyn felt liberated by their desperation, revealing true natures. Claire's Garden Club friends shared similar tales, affirming bot love's falsity. Loneliness amid unloving, worse than solitary good company, toasting wisdom under stars, exciting Evelyn with financial freedom for travels, remodels, charities, hobbies. A month later, Miss Harper delivered grim news of filed guardianship suit with fabricated evidence, unpaid bills, hoarded meds, erratic witnesses. Investigating, Evelyn uncovered pharmacist Mr. Green's tricked statement on irregular purchases, clarifying no issues, and neighbor Mr. Davis's malicious superficial observations unreasonable. Ms. Harper arranged independent psych eval with Dr. Moore, confirming excellent cognition, classic exploitation case. Garden Club rallied testimonies, Evelyn grieving illusion's loss but stealing for battle. 3 weeks to trial, Evelyn suited up determined, Ms. Harper reminding burden on them. In court, Jake's lawyer portrayed her manipulated victim. Brittany's tears describing decline, Jake's concern feigned, Davis's bias exposed, Dr. Lehman's refusal claim refuted by Dr. Moore's results. Defense shown, Mr. Green on deception, Dr. Moore on competence, Mr. Summers on rationality, Clara's group on vitality. Evelyn testified powerfully on $33,300, exclusion, manipulation, stopping support as transaction realization, regretting delay. Closing arguments clashed, judge denying guardianship, eyeing abuse charges. Victorious, Evelyn celebrated with friends, affirming life reclaimed. 3 months on, she sold the ranch, bought a condo, donated half savings, traveled Europe, painted, volunteered, hearing Jake and Brittany downsized, employed, perhaps learning independence. Nights on her balcony, Evelyn reflected on past fears, embracing truth. Love priceless, freedom invaluable,